Welcome to Decoding Autism with Mr. Beal. The goal of Decoding Autism with Mr. Beal is to give parents and caregivers practical tips and techniques to support their children at home and at school. The goal of today's video is the importance of creating structure and routines to prevent crises and meltdowns. And we'll also go through the 5 steps of establishing a routine. How do I know that creating structure and routines is essential to preventing crises and meltdowns? My name is James Beal, and I have more than 14 years of experience teaching students with autism and emotional disabilities. I've also worked as a coach and a consultant with teachers and behavior specialists in classrooms and with school-wide positive behavior interventions and support programs, as well as programs founded on applied behavioral analysis. To help prevent meltdowns, establishing structure and routines are very powerful tools, and some of the most often overlooked. Establishing structure and routines became my #1 priority over the years because I saw the positive results in my classroom and the classroom whose staff that I've mentored over the years. When mentoring a new staff member, I always started with establishing structure and routines. Why is creating structure and routines important for children with autism? When you create structure and establish routines, you are setting up predictability. Predictability helps bring a sense of comfort. Think about the structure of a house. What comes to mind? The rooms, the walls, how many windows, what does the backyard look like? You don't normally think about the foundation. It's below the ground and you can't see it. But what happens when a home or a building isn't built on a solid foundation? We've all heard the stories of buildings collapsing and the investigations revealing foundations that were faulty. Establishing routines and structure is like your home's foundation. Think about how you feel when things don't go as planned. Your slight discomfort is nothing compared to how children with autism feel when something has changed or they don't know what's going to happen next. I've seen severe behaviors by something as trivial as a substitution on a lunch menu or reading class not starting at exactly 8 a.m. At the very least, it creates anxiety. On the other hand, think about predictability making everybody's life easier. Even though it might seem boring to us adults and we might want to change things up a bit, resist the temptation because it's extremely important to be consistent. Being consistent builds into predictability and makes your child feel more comfortable. Being consistent is another powerful tool, but I've got to be honest with you, it's the hardest. The most successful teachers, classroom assistants, and behavior specialists I've worked with or mentored over the years were successful because they consistently establish routines and structure. In education, this is called a best practice, a phrase I will use a lot in this channel. Best practice means proven strategies over long periods of time. So now I've talked about routines and structure and why they're important. Let's talk about what they look like. Before we get started, remember this: children thrive on routine. All children learn from repetition. These are examples of best practice. But I know every family's different. Some have lots of structure and lots of predictability. Some have a more flexible lifestyle. No matter where your family falls on the spectrum of predictability and flexibility, there are things that happen daily, like meal times and bedtimes. If you don't have a routine already, or you've never thought about what your family does on a daily basis, this is where you need to start. To start with, list the activities that you need your child to complete in a day. For example, get up, get dressed, eat breakfast, brush teeth, leave for school, return from school, complete homework, do chores, a preferred activity, eat dinner, brush teeth, go to bed. You get the picture. So after listing the activities, fill in the times and you have a basic schedule, or let's call it structure. The reason I call it structure is I want you to think of it as something that is predictable and not likely to change, at least too much. All you are doing is structuring the time, your foundation. Some of these activities might be obvious, like getting up, going to, and returning from school, but the idea here is to create predictability. So it's very important to be consistent with when these activities will happen. For example, the school bus comes at 7 a.m. So your child might need at least an hour to realistically complete getting up, getting dressed, eating breakfast, brushing their teeth. Have you ever had a situation where your child gets up late for whatever reason and they're rushed because they have to get on the bus at 7 a.m.? Did this lead to a meltdown? How stressful was it? I want you to think about why are routines and structure important. When you create structure and establish a routine, you are setting up predictability. Predictability helps bring a sense of comfort and makes everybody's life a lot easier. It reduces the anxiety level. If you want to do a little research on establishing a home routine, there are a lot of great resources and examples on the internet. But right now, let's go over a step-by-step approach you want to establish, first, which in establishing a routine. So to get started, identify what task you want your child to complete and then list the steps. I'm going to take the example of a preferred activity. You might call it free time. First step, pick the activity. So for example, it might be use the tablet, watch TV, YouTube videos, play outside. Second step, create some kind of a visual schedule, whatever works for your child. I suggest offering as a choice board with pictures of different activities you're comfortable with your child doing, okay? A choice board might not be predictable for something like brushing your teeth because there is no other choice, it's brushing your teeth. You can also use a task list or a video. Again, there are a lot of resources out there to help you create a visual schedule. All right, third step. Use timers or alarms to let your child know when the task is completed. You can also use alarms or timers to show how much time your child should spend, for example, brushing their teeth or taking a shower. Step number 4, refer to your schedule throughout the routine and give positive reinforcement or praise as your child goes through the process. Number 5, be consistent. Complete the routine in the same order every day. It's very important to follow the steps with each routine you want to establish. It's also extremely important that other caregivers follow your established structure and routines. Nothing leads to confusions and meltdowns quicker than inconsistency. Inconsistency is not your friend. But whatever structure and routines that you create, remember it takes time for children to learn. There's a lot of information on how many days it takes to develop a new habit, but please be patient and give it at least 30 days. I've found over the years, at least in my classrooms, with strong structure and consistent routines, most of my students responded positively within 30 days. So let's bring order and stability to your child's world. This is extremely important for children with autism. Other experts will tell you that most children thrive on repetition and routine, and I couldn't agree more. Let me know in the comments how you feel about setting up structure and routines at home. Also, if you're interested in this type of content, please let me know in the comments. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons and share with other people who might benefit from this type of content. Thank you very much.